Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I always call you, now we have like a few Alexes in the community, so I always call you Alex Flutura.
I love
But
it.
is that okay? Because I'm always like, I know that's not her last name, but I've just like nicknamed you your brand name, and I just call you Alex Flutura.
I love it. And I love the way you say it. I feel like it gives my butterfly in motion. So I like it.
Okay, awesome, amazing. Well, we are doing this fun thing where we're doing a case study of people's experience in the Gab accelerator, and some of you are even now continuing on in Gab CEO. But we thought it would be fun to do a case study of not just one person and one person's experience, but what would it look like to do a collective case study of looking at very different businesses, different stories and where they're at today. So I'm just going to ask you some questions. And you've had a really fun journey, so this should be fun. Do you remember, can you think back to when you joined your first round of Gab Accelerator, because you were a few cohorts back? What was going on in your business at the time? What were you feeling? What made you join?
I think what really made me join was I was trying to figure out how do I make this business scalable and also profitable. Because what I found is that I was spending a majority of my time with two clients, and I was really laser focused on getting them up and off the ground and getting systems and processes in place for the growth that they were seeking in their business. That I had this like realization moment where I was like, if these people disappeared, overnight, I've completely neglected my business, and I didn't have a lot of forethought. Like I wasn't thinking about who was going to be next.
Yeah. Um, and had you tried anything else? Had you done any other programs, or had you tried anything to grow your business beyond my program?
No, I actually hadn't. I came from like a 12-year corporate career, and then I had gotten laid off with COVID. And I was like, oh, like this is really, I had been wanting to leave for a while from my corporate job, and everything just kind of aligned in the right timing because I had a 6-month old at the time, and the desire to have to figure out childcare during that time and go back to a 8 to 5 was just didn't feel good at all. So I had that corporate career and I got to do a lot of different roles. But I had never tried any of my skills outside of the food industry, which is the industry I was in. And so I had this very skewed perception of myself of could I take what I've learned and is it really applicable in other places? And so when I got laid off, there was an opportunity presented itself with a small business who was very fun and very much all about in-person events. And they were needing to completely shift their business model from in-person events to online. And they were like, we don't even know how to do that outside of a Zoom room. And they were very well known in the community in San Antonio and in Austin for putting on like really fun parties and events. Like their events were known as like fun, bold. And so they're like, how do we bring that energy online? And a friend of mine who was working for them at the time, she said, have a friend, she's really creative and she knows about like video production and all the things. Like, let's see what she can do. And so I went and helped that business shift their model from in-person events and took it online. And so we produced a comedy show that raised over $20,000 for the food bank, which was being really stretched during those times. And they received raving reviews of like, I can't believe you pulled that off. Like, and so it was really exciting for me to feel like wow, I could take all of this experience and bring it to something new. And that's what kind of gave me the little spark of like, if I'm doing this for others, why don't I do it for myself?
Okay, got it. What was your experience inside Gap Accelerator? What was your favorite experience or your aha moments or your breakthroughs, which I know you've actually had several over the time, but what are the ones that stand out the most to you?
I think the one that stood out the most to me was when I was first taking it. Um, I realized that I was allowing my clients to drive more of the projects and the scope of the work versus me really taking ownership in what I did and didn't want to do. And so I started to realize some of my own patterning of having worked for others before and then being in the reverse of like, wow, I actually get to like put my foot down and say, no, I don't agree with that, or no, that doesn't really feel aligned. So when you first brought that realization to me, it was a definite shock to my system because I didn't know what to do with that information. And because of the relationship I had already started to create with my clients, I was like, how am I going to shift and start creating that change? Um, and so I kind of sat with it for about 3 months, slowly. That was kind of the time period when my clients, where I was really feeling this with, were going to be doing a lot of travel because they do a majority of their business doing summer workshops where they travel the country. And I just realized that it wasn't in alignment anymore. You know, they kept asking for things and asking of things of me that I was like, that's not really my wheelhouse. Sure, I could try to learn it because that's what the old me would have done, is like try to learn the skill and deliver. But I started to hit this like major wall of resistance. And that's when I really started realizing how out of alignment I was getting with the work I was doing because there was something more that was calling me forward.
Yeah, cool. And do you have any like recollections of what was special or different in your experience in the program?
I think what was really special was even just being in a room with other business owners and seeing their journeys. And a lot of times there were similar things we were going through collectively, or maybe somebody had previously been through something and they were already telling the story from the other side. So it was really helpful to be in a room that was very transparent, very vulnerable with how they're feeling, what the roadblocks were, but then also really being able to come back the next week, and say, oh my God, I did it and it wasn't as scary as I thought it was, or wow, this didn't go as planned, but guess what? I learned something from it. So I feel like every time, even if you're not like actively participating, just being in the room and being able to hear these different reflections, there's always an amazing takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you remember on the journey some of your biggest like shifts and pivots and breakthroughs in your own business that we uncovered for you?
Yes. I I would say, I guess last fall it was the period of time where I realized I can really do I when I came to you, I was doing a business that I thought, well, this is a good way to do something I know and that I'm good at, but I was using it to get to what I really wanted to do, not realizing that I could really do what I wanted to do without needing that other business as a stepping stone. So being able to take the somatic lens that I was using in business and not hide that behind being a business consultant, and being able to say, I'm a somatic practitioner and here's what I can do from you, was the really big moment where things really started to shift. And I remember talking with you saying, well, I'm still technically doing training, it's a rigorous process of getting certified and all the things. And I felt that I needed that full paper before I could do what I really wanted to do. And you definitely showed me that I didn't have to. And there aren't going to be people that require that because they can genuinely see my skill set and my knowledge and my ability to create these experiences, which has helped me just get better at my craft and really better understand the modality that I'm trying to create and the work that I'm trying to put out in the world.
Awesome. And how are you feeling now about, I mean, for context, let's give the people context. You came into my program offering one very specific offer, which was more about business systems and back-end tech and supporting business owners. And you have a specialization in HubSpot and a few other systems that you're really good in. And today you're more focused on your somatic therapy work with all different kinds of people. And you're really doing the work that you're passionate about and that is in your vision and is what you really want to be doing in the world. And I'm going to remind you, you were very scared that nobody would want to pay for this work, remember? And
Mhm.
you're already doing it. So, and you're getting paid for it. So how do you feel today? What are the results today in your life and business from having like gone through this journey and being still in the community and in the process?
Um, how I'm feeling today about it is I feel really excited because the momentum has just really started with building new networks and new connections and different communities for which I can showcase my work. So that feels really exciting. And having the solid vision now in knowing, okay, 3 years from now, here's what I'm trying to create. And going back to that, when, I get things thrown at me like, oh, you should do this, or maybe you should do this. And having that vision to go back to and say, it doesn't really feel aligned in the way that I wrote this, and this feels really solid. It's amazing to have that to keep just moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really have a North Star now for what you're doing and what you're focused on. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Cool. Is there anything that you would want to say to anyone who's thinking about joining Gab Accelerator and they are not sure if it's for them?
I would just say, just do it. There's just so many layers to the program that you offer. And even for me, that I've worked with a lot of other businesses, I think back to those times and the different struggles that I saw, and I'm able to identify, like, oh, this is what was happening, and this is what was happening. And I really just appreciate the awareness that you create around the different tables of business and making sure that they're in sync and that they're all operating in coherence, and how our default is to really lean into that one section we're really, really good at. But then it creates those blind spots where there are other things we aren't seeing. Um, and then we just kind of keep ignoring them and keep ignoring them until we either feel burnt out or something really breaks in the system or the business where it's like having to really pick up pieces. So I would just recommend to do it because you're going to discover so much about yourself. You may even realign yourself to your business like I did. Um, but above all, you're going to join a community of really collaborative and amazing entrepreneurs doing some really neat things out in the world, and having their support and seeing other people work so hard at their vision and see them hit milestones and goals. It's just so rewarding.
That's amazing. Thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your answers, and it's really been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure seeing you step into this new business, which is what you really want to be doing, and
Mm.
just taking it on so confidently. You really went from, no, Sally, no one's going to pay me for that thing that I want to do. And now you're actually doing it. It's like, and you're doing it with so much confidence and stepping into every conversation and every sales conversation and every collaboration and partnership and opportunity. You're really going for it week over week. I see you report that in our CEO Monday hour, and it's just really awesome to watch. So good job. You're
Well,
killing it.
thank you. Thank you. I definitely couldn't have done it without you and the support of all the other GAB members that have been through the program and those that have stayed that we get to work with week over week in GAB CEO.